Flores Home Services has your shot at 4 tickets to see Green Bay take on the Purple in early January, plus $500 in game day cash. Register for your chance to win today at KFAN.com, keyword contest. And also KFAN.com/furnace to enter it as well. KFAN.com/furnace.
And goal from the 5. Wentz out of the shotgun. 2 receivers left, 1 right. Gun run. Jordan Mason up the middle. And he walks into the end zone. Touchdown, Minnesota Vikings. Jordan Mason has scored his first touchdown with the Vikings. And the blowout is on. It's 30-3 Minnesota. We're not even at halftime. Wentz hands the ball to Mason. Up the middle. Into the end zone. Touchdown, Vikings. Jordan Mason has a 2 rushing touchdown game, and Minnesota leads 40-3. It is now post time for X's and O's with Minnesota Vikings head coach Kevin O'Connell, and I'm Paul Allen. Welcome back to the TCO studios. Vikings dismantle the Cincinnati Bengals to move to 2-1 at Pittsburgh, but in Ireland, at Cleveland, but in London. Those are the next 2, and the head coach joins us right now. Irish food, how familiar are you? Have you gone down the road on it yet?
You know what? I should probably be more familiar, but I'm about to get more familiar this week. You and I both.
Yeah, you got Irish stew. You have a boiled bacon and cabbage. But I uncovered this gem this morning. Black and white pudding. Okay, now pudding in Ireland is not a dessert. It's a variety of sausages. White pudding is sausage fat with oats, breadcrumbs, and spices. To make it black pudding, you add blood to the mix. So what do you think of that? That sounds good enough to eat, doesn't it?
When in Rome,
right?
Yeah, we've got to.
Fortunately, there are hotel cafeterias, right?
Yeah, and we're going to be staying at a nice spot, and we'll see if they have that on the menu.
Yep, they have a dish called Goody. It's called Goody. It's boiled bread in milk with sugar and spices. And supposedly it's designed for children or the elderly, which means I got something to eat when I get over there.
I knew you were going there. Me and
your dad Bill are going to be chilling outside.
I'm getting to know you too well, man. I know where you're going with it.
Well, your craft and plays, and here we go with X's and O's with Kevin O'Connell. I thought it was really cool that you gave Christian Darrisaw a game ball after the Cincinnati victory, and it was quite the emotional a speech/preach that you unfurled in there after that victory. It was beautiful, and with the first 2 plays with Darrisaw. You saw him swallow up Trey Hendrickson on the first play. On the second play, frustrated him so badly, Hendrickson went to pushing after the play. Yeah. So I'm like, 2 plays into it, look at 71 roll. He's just so important, isn't he?
Oh, man. I told him after our second touchdown run, really running, behind our O-line, but, CD with such a critical block on the play. I told him if there was ever any doubt of, what he means to our team, what he means to, that offensive line, that group as a whole, how we want to play as a team. He's a franchise left tackle. He's one of the best at his position in the game. And watching him, the reason why I was emotional and the reason why I wanted to make sure that he had his moment in front of his teammates is because they have and I have witnessed all of the moments where it was Christian. It was since the moment that injury happened, it was a daily grind of trying to get back to that moment. And I know Vikings fans were so excited to see him out there and have been patiently waiting his return and to have it go down like that and have him have that much of an impact, and really play. I'm not so sure. He would have played much more anyway after the snaps he had, but to have the score be, I told him before the game, I said, let's get this thing where we feel good about it up on that scoreboard, and it'll be a good day's work for you. And he was, from the minute we got on the practice field on Wednesday, you just knew it was time. And that makes me feel good as the coach with the collaborative process with our trainers and medical staff, but most importantly with Christian and I and the relationship we have. He knows he can trust me. He knows that we're going to do right by him, and the timing was right. And although we would have loved to have him for every snap we've played this season, I think we handled it right, and I think his performance put an exclamation point on it.
Well, yesterday in your Monday press conference, you said, paraphrasing, but I'm pretty close here, that with Darrisaw playing helps, quote, his confidence, end quote, in the knee. Okay, so I found that to be fascinating and super open, because it just kind of makes you think that this is a two-way street, right? Is that, you can have a staff to heal somebody, maybe even clear somebody. But if the somebody is, that's a two-way relational street there that establishes nothing but good when you get to the right answer, right?
Yeah, and I think, for anybody listening, right now, I hope there's some folks listening right now, PA, but if you've ever been through anything, physical injury in your life, there's a huge chunk of it that's physical, the rehab, all those things. But let's not forget about the mental side of things. And our game is one, it's a violent game. You have to be able to turn it loose. You have to be able to completely play free to do your job. And especially as talented as Christian is, to feel great about going out there and executing his job and helping us win, which he absolutely did. Sometimes that last hurdle, is the confidence level that you have. And you've got to allow a player to work through that in many instances, especially with how he had handled his rehab. He was ahead of schedule the entire time, and really all the way up until taking his snaps on Sunday. He still had a schedule from a big picture view with the significance of what that injury was. And I think he's just total credit to him, and that game ball was a long time coming and a huge moment for him, hopefully, because he deserves it. All about Christian. And
to close here on this part of the Minnesota Moving Company, Donovan Jackson, yesterday, the final thing you went over with the injuries, not playing until maybe Philly, and I could just tell by listening to it from afar. I watched it back later, that you were super impressed with Donovan Jackson playing through that, whatever level of wrist pain it was, playing through it, knowing a surgery was, that mentally, you talk about mentally, that's tough.
Yeah, and I think, the idea of a rookie going in there and in a game coming off of the Atlanta game, which didn't go our way, and it felt like there was going to be, very little that could hold Donovan out of that game. But we wanted to make sure that he had all the information, his representatives, his family, they had all the information. And once it was determined that he could not make it worse, Donovan Jackson was going to play. And we wanted to make sure he knew the surgery was scheduled. We wanted to make sure he knew exactly what the plan would be, so he could just totally free his mind from any worry. If you get told, hey, you can't make it worse, you might deal with some discomfort, but if you want to be out there, you're going to be able to impact this game, especially early on in the week, not knowing if 71 would be out there. Yep. So you're really talking about two parts of our 5-man grouping already being down. Ryan Kelly and Justin School could have potentially been down on a day that ended up being one where the moving company, they won the line of scrimmage. They were the driving force behind Jordan Mason having a great day, Carson being comfortable back there, and our offense being able to find the rhythm that we so desperately wanted to find, and how we played and how we were able to do some things to complement the great day that our defense had and our kicking game had. I thought that was an example of what we can strive to be on a week in and week out basis. It's hard to do in the NFL, but we captured the momentum in multiple ways, and from a fast start on offense to getting the turnover for the touchdown early on there, and then just rode that thing all the way to a big lead at halftime, and ended up playing every guy in a uniform besides Desmond Ridder, which is one thing where you're getting valuable snaps. I mean, Max Brosmer getting some snaps in there was phenomenal to see, as well as some of our other young players.
Kevin O'Connell, X's and O's, KFAN 9 to noon from TCO Studios each and every Tuesday. Crowd loving it. I seemingly say this with you weekly this year about a cliche, but cliches are cliches because they're real and they stand the test of time. So when coaches or players say it's imperative we start fast, for some people it'll be like, oh, I've heard that a million times. Cool. I don't know if Atlanta was throwing punches early that we weren't throwing, but they started fast physically.
Yep.
This game, you guys came out throwing the haymakers and the uppercuts and the roundhouses and stuff. And from the first defensive play, when Grenard ran all the way across the line to smack Chase Brown, and the offense taking the punches to Cincinnati from the outset, off that Atlanta game in your night before speech preach, did you challenge their toughness / physicality?
I think it was more so throughout the week of what our standards are and showing them examples of how we can improve, how we can help them by doing some different things schematically. But I
didn't phrase that the right way. Did you request more, should I say? I
think we yes, but it was circling back on the messaging from Monday to Wednesday to culminating Saturday night, and really. I did not want our guys to lack for confidence because I felt like the week of preparation we had, and the fact that we were going to be getting players like Christian Darrisaw, Harrison Smith, Andrew Van Ginkel back on the grass. I felt like there was going to be an energy that we needed to feed by how we started. We didn't play well enough the previous Sunday. Everybody in this building knows that. That two things can be true though. Just because you don't play to your standard one Sunday, although there may be wild amounts of noise about what does this mean and all of these things. I used the term with the team on Saturday. I told them kind of a little story about something I read one time about there was a bridge that was broken. And the leadership, I don't want to get too far into it, but the leadership was, everybody was throwing out, hey, we might not be able to do this, or we might lose this battle. We might, how are we can we use a boat? Do we need to transport via plane? And then the leadership just said, why don't we just fix the bridge?
Yeah.
And the message was, we got everything that we need in this room. We're going to be driven by the leadership of our team. We're going to be driven by playing all three units collectively as one, complementing one another. And we're going to do the things that we've preached here for a really long time about how to win games, being all about the ball, having a play style and our schemes come to life. That's where I thought there was an attacking nature to how we played on offense and defense.
Yes. From out of the gate.
That matched with what we were requesting from the players, and I told them afterwards they might have been looking at me funny in the moment, but it probably makes sense now.
Yeah. And that's so awesome moving forward, I would imagine, because you can, and I'm sure you've probably done this, but you can take certain clips from things that didn't go the right way and, hey, see what happens when this happens? See what happens when this happens? Yeah. You know what I mean? And kind of layer it.
And we're looking at it right now because there's still, you're as multiple people told me after the game, you don't seem happy or satisfied.
Perfect game for a coach.
And the thing for me was the penalties.
Yeah.
To me, if you take away the penalties in that football game, what could it have looked like at that point? We got the all-11 execution post-snap, predominantly most of the day. But there were some things where there's no excuse of new players and new spots and all that, yada, yada, yada. Let's go out and eliminate those things and see what it looks like now when you pair that with all 11 guys doing their job every play. It's got a chance to be special.
Yeah, Bursic, coaching linebackers here for 4 or 5 years. Like, towards the end of the broadcast, you guys are up $1 million. And I said to him, well, this is shaping up to be a perfect day for a coach. You're going to win the game. You're going to win it clearly so you don't have to sweat. But you have something to complain about in the meetings when you get back to kind of keep things even keeled. You know what I mean?
Yeah, complain is I very much take joy and pride in making our players aware of the path to improvement, even after a game like that.
I understand.
But yeah, PA, it's been a mentality, and the best thing about our guys is when you say things like that, they are sitting up in their chairs, nodding their heads. They know, they see the vision, and you pair it with the video that you show of all the things that went exactly how we planned and how we expected them to go. without nerves, without anxiety. It was just about execution and trusting in what these players have built here.
Speaking of coaches, and I purposely didn't ask anybody who exactly this was. This is just phenomenal because I know you watch the All-22, you watch each play. Multiple times, end zone or sideline, correct?
Correct.
All right, so Isaiah Rodgers on the 87 to the house, all right? It's right in front of the Vikings bench. Who's the coach not watching the play, running 100 miles per hour down the sideline, pushing coaches back? MVP move and organization at its highest. Who was that?
I don't know because
Really?
I was too busy running much less miles per hour, but I was running as well. Let's take a look.
Yeah.
Are we going to break down the video here?
Let's do this. Next week, we're going to be doing X's and O's at 5 in the evening London time. We're going to do it from an old library at a place called the Manor outside of busy London. Do teams joyfully accept overseas games or perhaps acquiesce to the league's requests?
I think there's multiple ways you can look at it. You can look at it from a standpoint of why us, or you can look at it from a standpoint of, man, aren't we lucky to get this opportunity? And that's the way I look at it. And
But you got the opportunity every year.
We are not going to Cleveland in December. We are not going to Pittsburgh in November. We are not ultimately looking at this as anything more than a great opportunity to go find a way to win a football game in some circumstances we know well, specifically with the first game. Yeah, we're going to Ireland for the first time, but we've left on Thursdays before, gone out to Tottenham Stadium and gotten a win and come back and moved throughout our season from there. The difference is we're going to stay and we're going to have a normal week of preparation once we've adjusted completely to the time. And our players should be able to truly, knowing we've got the bye upon our arrival back to the United States, we absolutely will look at this as a great opportunity. And how about a chance to, in a day and age where once you get into the season, it is so difficult to, find unique ways to team build. How about a chance to go away? It's summer camp in a lot of ways for 10 days, and hopefully you and the crew there with KFAN, you guys can do the same, man. I expect to hear a report about the chemistry of the crew being sky high coming off this trip.
Well, that'd be great, but I'm going to hang out with this coach that we're about ready to identify because I need this guy on my team. I think I know who it is. All right, so
I now know. I've seen the clip.
By the way, we're breaking down a play with a coach of the year, which is the bomb. So Browning gets smacked here, throws the ball to the right.
Harrison Smith gets a finger on it.
Finger on. Okay, it's this guy right here. Okay.
Yep. That's Joe DeStore right there, our strength coach.
Oh, okay. That's who. Look at this. Shove. He's not even watching the play. He's pushing coaches. It's the bomb.
And with me running right behind him, trying to stay on his heels right there. It looks like he's lead blocking for me.
Notice he didn't
down
push
the
you.
Sideline. Well, I will tell you.
Push the head coach.
All jokes aside, I will tell you this much: the delay of game penalty we had in the Atlanta Falcons game when they held the snap and everybody was wondering what was going on because we had subbed. They had clearly had time to sub.
Yeah.
We had a player step on the field. Just trying to watch the action, and that's why the officials held the snap, which is the way they're supposed to do their job, totally on us. So Joe did get a
That's
little
his
bit
job?
Or
did he do it by his own will?
He was there. There may have been a conversation or two leading into the game of regardless of the play, regardless of where the ball is.
Yeah.
I need you and your staff making sure these players and coaches, for that matter, are back.
Yeah, you guys get so wrapped up in like and understandably so. It's part of your job. So what makes you guys great? The technical nature of, okay, well, this happens. Well, look at Levi Drake Rodriguez block this guy.
Yep.
Actually, Levi, maybe your knee should be here or whatever. So you got to get into the technical aspect of the teaching.
Yep. Even
on an 87-yard pick six. Bernard blocked, I think, Ted Carrot. He blocked an offensive lineman 15 yards. You can't do any better.
He looked like he was leading a wide zone down the sideline.
Meanwhile, if you can smell the roses for a second and like watch sidelines during big plays like that, they're unbelievably funny. Max Brosmer was skipping behind you. Wasn't jumping, he was skipping. and that's great. And so I just love doing that, man. And it's that of joy, which was Sunday against the Cincinnati Bengals. All right, so Ivan Pace Jr. Holy cow, he brought the lumber against Cincinnati, didn't he? Jeez.
Yeah, he was all over the field, and what people may not realize is he also did it on kickoff coverage. I mean, he was borderline unblockable. All those times we can start, we can force Cincinnati to start 25, 24-yard line. I mean, with these new rules, those yards matter. The starting field position, we won significantly on the day, and that's all part of the formula that it takes to have a complete performance and not feel like you're having to overcome any self-inflicted adversity for our team. And when we have historically avoided a lot of those things and won some of these metrics, whether it be turnovers. We did not win penalties, but we did win starting field position. We did win the rushing battle. We did win the rushing attempts and completion battle. There's some things that as a coach you look at, and you can normally see a formula to play good football that do coincide with some statistics.
And you actually got more offensive plays than the other
Still
team.
Not above 60.
It was 60, wasn't it?
Nah, well, with the penalty, I don't count the penalties. So we broke we broke the huddle. We broke the huddle maybe
That's
60
great.
times, but I want 60 plus because we were over six, whatever we were a play, 6-2 a play, whatever
Yes.
it was. That's about where we should be when we're playing well, and it might not always equal this many passing yards or this many rushing yards, but the average per play is a huge stat because that's telling the actual story of what's happening on a snap in and snap out basis.
I'm glad you brought up special teams in our final 4-ish to 5 minutes. I'd like to move there. Terrific. Reichard with the 62 to set a team record. DePaula under. I mean, because he's the long snapper. Until they mess up, nobody says anything. But he's all pro every year.
Yep.
Really good at what he does. Awesome guy, too. Your punter's on a heater.
He
all
is.
right. So whether it's Portland State guy or Aussie guy pushing him in the offseason, it's work. I mean, he's on a heater right now. That last one in Chicago was terrific. Then I think 4 and 51.5 Atlanta.
Yep.
And the last game was good too, so that's cool. Plus, Charlie Jones. I mean, we're in NFC country. Well, this Charlie Jones, one of the returners for Cincinnati.
Yeah.
He's fast and he's good. And then P. Ryan's big. It's like big and thick. So they got a nice little complimentary thing there.
I will say though, I'm glad you mentioned that. We've got a lot of rookies, so a lot of young guys. In many ways, players who were not drafted, guys that made our team. I think we might have had maybe 5 or 6 rookies alone on the punt team. And we're getting unbelievable gunner play out of Ty Felton and Tavier Thomas. How many times have we seen a fair catch and a Vikings player right at the shoelaces of that player? I thought the one penalty we can learn from, it was a late call on the fair catch, but that's something we got to learn from, especially when Ryan's hitting 50 plus with that kind of hang time and we're covering that much ground to get right at the shoelaces right there. We've got to be smarter than that. That was one of our many penalties in the game that we've got to correct.
And I mean, it's the teaching moments with young players, a coach, and the cohesiveness of a team.
Yep.
Offense, defense, special teams. Ty Felton, of course, he wants to play 60 plays a game, or 42 plays a game on offense. As a receiver, of course he does. But the acceptance, not acquiescing, acceptance, this is my role for now. And I'm going to do the very best I can on it. Speaking of receivers, Jordan Addison, eligible to return Sunday at something called Croak. And anticipation, it's in anticipation of that coming back. How about Jalen Naylor?
Yep.
I mean, maybe he hasn't said it or anything, but he knows what's on the horizon, like reinforcements coming in. Holy cow, with Naylor and this blocking on run plays, and then he's playing great, don't you think?
He's playing great, and it hasn't necessarily shown up with huge numbers, but every time you turn on the tape, he's open. He's winning. He's winning in man. He's got a great feel versus zone. We saw him win kind of on a backside route where Carson was trying to work JJ front side. They take that away. Carson just very calmly, great technique and fundamentals, resets backside, and Jalen's got 6 yards of separation on a deep curl route. He's doing a lot of things really well right now. I think Adam Thielen is doing a lot of things at a very high level, different than maybe what he did previously with the Vikings. I mean, Adam is doing, he's doing some of
physical stuff,
physical things, and he's helping in ways that maybe don't necessarily show up on the stat sheet, but we feel it. We feel his impact. And with Jordan coming back, you really feel like you've got 5 really 6 guys up potentially with 2 rookies and then 4 guys that we feel like can play any spot, whether it's Jets, Addison, Naylor, or Adam. We feel totally interchangeable. We can keep those guys fresh, hopefully, and allow them to really dive into their specific aspects of the game plan as we roll here.
I have 90 seconds. If I ask you this question, it's going to take 5 minutes, so maybe next week. Your approach yesterday with the press conference, talking about either Wentz or McCarthy or both, and footwork and foundation being key. I just wanted to learn more about that, so maybe from the library next week. So let's close with this. Brandell for Jackson for a little bit. I recall you saying to me either in a production meeting or like a pregame or something, Blake Brandell had a fantastic training camp as a guard, right?
He did.
What'd you like?
I mean,
how's he going to help now?
For Donovan Jackson to have really won that job, he would have needed to have a great camp because Blake certainly did. I mean, Blake, every time you went out to the practice field, it felt like he was building upon his 2024 season where he was out there for us and for really the first time playing that kind of significant snaps all year long at that left guard spot, which he'll be playing this weekend. Blake is incredibly valuable to us. The fact that he can be the guy that steps in when CD was done for the day at left tackle the other day. He can be a potential interior swing guy at any point in time. He can play center eventually if we need him to do that. It's about trying to find a way to have the best 5 on game day, and Blake sliding in at left guard with Donovan playing at the level he's been playing at, which I think is a arrow up every week, ascending young player. Blake's going to step in there and he's going to bring physicality. He's big. He's smart. Ryan Kelly back in the mix will be huge for us as well. I thought Michael Juergens played some really meaningful, good snaps for us to help drive the show the other day. But we're in a good spot right now, and it seems to always circle back to 71 being out there.
Right.
And then what that feels like from a totality of the group standpoint, and it'll be great to get Ryan back as well.
Common threads are always good in radio and TV. We started with 71, you ended with 71. And you know what? You could really catch them off guard this week by going unbalanced. Think about it. They're going to look at replacement left guard. Well, these guys, I mean, it's their offensive line. They're getting guys back. They're leaving. I mean, who knows? Maybe Joe Huber is your version of Dan Skipper. They'll never see it coming.
Well, they wouldn't have seen it coming until you just let the cat out of the bag.
I appreciate you, man. You're awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Kevin O'Connell, X's and O's each and every Tuesday, 9 to noon. We're back after this.
Man.
KO, B-Flow is speaking right now. Let's see if he says anything about Juicy A-Rod or the dismantling of the Bengals.
From where you got them last year just to now where they're making significant impacts like they did on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, I think both guys, are still in that development phase. I think when you talk about developing a player, a lot of that falls on the player, is he training the right way? Is he eating the right way? Is he, how does he meet? How does he walk through? And as a staff, we kind of have some checkpoints, I would say, as far as things we see, in meetings and walkthrough and practice, that if they're hitting those markers, then, this guy's got a chance to develop. And, I would say Red and Levi both have hit a lot of those markers. And you can kind of see, even a year ago, you could see that they were, had the, and the wherewithal is not the word. They had the, intelligence. They had the physical attributes. They had the things you need to develop, and they were going to work hard enough to do it. And ultimately, that's what we're talking about. Both of these guys, it's very important to them. So they'll do what it takes to get every little bit out of their bodies that they can. I think you're seeing that on the field on Sundays now.
Right. How much of what Isaiah Rodgers was able to do, particularly with the punch-outs, is just due to his talent versus the effort you guys put in practice to work on that?
Yeah, we certainly put a lot of effort on it. into it. A lot of meeting time. Matt Daniels, he probably doesn't get enough credit for, his turnover presentation, which we see on a weekly basis, and we did it all through training camp, and he and DG, along with our coaching staff, kind of lead the way as far as turnover circuits and the different ways you can punch the ball out. It's not all peanut punches. It's and everybody's got terms for it, but it's hammer, it's Tyson, it's all these different ways to try to get the ball out. And our players, they work at it. There's a great attention to detail to it because it's such an important stat in football, and we saw it come to fruition on Sunday.
Have those circuits always like something you've done since you've been in the league, or is it like more recent?
Yeah, between tackling circuits and turnover circuits, I think they're. I've always been a part of those. I think there's much greater attention to detail and specific. Hey, here are the techniques. This is what it is, and this is what we call it. And players call it the same thing, and big eyes on a small target. Kind of buzzwords or buzz phrases like that. We talk about them every day. I talk to my sons about it. Every time they give me a hug, they better punch at the ball, and I hug them every day. They get hugged all the time by me, so I want to punch. So it's certainly something that shows up in my house. We got one out last week in our game last week. My son Miles got one out, ripped one out. We didn't recover it, but I know he's working the techniques, so I was happy to see that. My son Max got one out too last week, so shout out to those guys. But yeah, it's something that you kind of Matt Daniels talks about it being in your subconscious, where it's just muscle memory and something we do, and I think that's starting to show up in game.
Mike Tomlin was the defensive coordinator here, and obviously your guys' paths have crossed over the years. Are you similar philosophically with him, or how would you describe your relationship?
This is a great week for me in that I get to go to Dublin, but also get to see some of those people from my people from the Steelers, Mike T included. Quite honestly, when I think about him and the Steelers, I just have this great gratitude for my time there. I think that the friends that I made, I'll see some of them in Ireland. Shout out to Greg and Simone Lignelli. And I just had a great time there. It was exactly what I needed at that point in my career. Are we similar? Yeah, there's a lot of similarities. But his leadership, his football acumen, his toughness, his ability to motivate. I feel like when I get up in front of a room, I've got a presence, and but when he gets up in front of, when I saw him up in front of a room, I was doing nothing but taking notes. So it was a great experience for me. But it was, not just Mike T, but it's, the Rooney family. They welcomed me with open arms. Omar, Kevin Colbert was there when, at that time as well. The staff is tremendous. I just had a great time there, and I'm excited to see them. And yeah, just great, this great bit of gratitude for my time there.
Brian, going back to the punch real quick, what is the balance between punching at the ball and securing the tackle, and what the risk reward involved?
Yeah, there's certainly risk reward. I think you can punch at the ball and tackle at the same time. Something we talk about quite a bit, where as you're going in to make a tackle, if you can, contact the ball as you're going in to make a tackle, that's essentially how we want to do it. But tackling is obviously at the forefront, something that I thought we did a better job of this week than we did the week prior or the weeks prior. And that's something we're always fundamentally working on as well. And yeah, there is a risk reward. And, sometimes, if a guy's going at the ball and you're a coach, you can yell at him for missing the tackle, but there's a little bit of, I understand why you're doing that. It's a big part of what we're trying to do. And, I would say in, my early years, I would have been much more upset about a missed tackle if you're looking to get the ball out than I am now. Because I know the intent is there. I know there's techniques and fundamentals behind it. We know when to do it, why to do it, and what situations. And I think our guys have, done a good job of implementing the techniques in the right situations for the most part.
Isaiah Rodgers, just how rewarding was it for you to see the game that he had, considering that he's a guy that you kind of pinpointed in free agency?
Isaiah, I said Aaron. I thought you meant Aaron Rodgers. I'm watching a lot of Aaron Rodgers right now. Isaiah, he's a fantastic game. He obviously played, out of this world, for lack of a better term. But I think Isaiah at the same time will be the first one to tell you football's this game where you rely on so many people, and, he doesn't make those plays without, a rush from John Grenard or Levi getting up the field to get the quarterback to, move in the pocket, and Harry tipping the ball, and then, he catches it with throwing blocks for him. Really on that particular play, but he certainly made a lot of plays, looking for the ball, punching it out, recovering it. And those are some of the things that, we kind of saw from him from a playmaking standpoint, that he had the potential to do. And I'm excited for him, but it's also something we want to build on for sure.
What does it do when you can have it singled up on T on that jump ball too, and he looked like he had it well covered?
He did a great job on that one. Those are tough matchups, and we try to mix things up, and there's plenty of kind of shell coverage on both of those receivers, but we had a matchup, we get a one-on-one. He went up and made the play. Obviously excited about that. And that's the kind of player he is. It's not like we're sitting there going, hey, we can't leave him alone. We can. We expect him to come through on those plays, and he did.
What was it like having Harry back out there, just watching him check and do what he does?
It was great. I think he adds an element of, disguise, acumen, experience. Kev, we talked about this last week. I think you kind of see a little bit of that. Honestly, on one of those, I thought we were wrong. He got me on the disguise too. I was like, oh no, he hasn't been out there for a while, and then okay, he's got it, So, I was excited for him to get out there. In front of the home crowd, and we get to starting 11. We had to go 12 because Harry's got to come out. That was good to kind of hear that, and the crowd will roar for him because he's such a, he is the epitome of a Viking, and it was great to have him out there.
So as long as you brought up Aaron Rodgers, what do you see from him now, and how is it different than when you saw him with the Packers and last year in London?
He's still. Look, this is one of the all-time greats. At the quarterback position. And he can still play at a high level. So the velocity on the throws is there, the touch is there, the movement's there. They've got, great skill players in DK and Calvin Austin and Freiermuth and, Warren in the back. They've got a really good skill group, and he does a great job of getting the ball to him. So, this would certainly be a big challenge for us, kind of working through the different personnel groupings that they present. From a tight end standpoint, tight ends, backs, receivers, they do a great job. Arthur Smith does a phenomenal job. Always had a great deal of respect for him.
That's Brian Flores, defensive coordinator, addressing the media. And we're going to pause, come back, and put a wrap on this thing from TCO Studios in Eagan. It's 9 to noon on the Fan.
We thank beloved Double B, Brett Blakemore, for aiding us today at FM 100.3 KFAN. Likewise for Vikings Media Relations, for Kevin O'Connell and the promptness each and every week. Nordo produced, and I'm Paul Allen. We wrap up Tuesday from Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center. Sneak peek at next week, the game at Croak against Pittsburgh. A 10 to 15 second quick twitch on this. How do you read into this? So we're 3 into it now. The Steelers average 2.8 yards per rush, second worst in the NFL. What do you think?
I just think that they still haven't found the answer. This is a multi-year thing, by the way, whether it's Jalen Warren, I think, Najee Harris, formerly 1,000-yard guy, but efficient-wise, I think it's an O-line issue. Yep. Caleb Johnson off to a slow start, the Hawkeye. This is a multi-year problem that they have not been able to fix. I think it starts with the O-line.
And the Steelers are second in the NFL in solo tackles with 140. What does that mean?
I have no idea what it means. I got to get up to speed on what this steel curtain is going to present us at Croak Park.
I think that means people are getting wide on them, and their guys are making tackles. So we will quickly learn about that and share it with you next time we convene for 9 to noon at FM 100.3 KFAN. PJ Fleck, Gophers Weekly, coming up next.
Podcast today's Paul Allen Show, or listen back to previous show and interviews by going to the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.